5-4. Manchester United are through to the Europa League semifinal, right? And while I did predict the win, I'm happy we won. Not how would I say this, right? I didn't think we would win in that way, right? I didn't expect us to win in that way. I really thought it was going to be a comfortable 2-0 win, right? But welcome to the match review, match reaction, and let's talk about the game, right? Now, 5-4. Was that the headline or the score that everybody predicted? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I want to take this kind of from half to half, right? Because I think the full 90 minutes, right? The first 90 minutes tell a tale of two different sides, right? Now, 1 through 45, we looked comfortable. United looked very comfortable, right? In my opinion, there were good passing moments, right? There were moments where we really controlled the game. My thoughts really go out to the first goal, right? When I talk about controlling the game, right? The low to Bruno, to Garnacho, and then Garnacho, in his, to all due respect, right? We've talked about Garnacho not really passing lately, not really looking for the final pass, right? But to his credit, today he actually did that quite well on numerous occasions. And in my opinion, it was one of his best games of the season. Don't get me wrong, not a great game, but it was one of his better games of the season. But like I said, that first goal really kind of exemplifies the quickness that we can see under a Ruben Amorim system, right? The low to Bruno, to Garnacho, and then to a surprising scorer, which was Ugarte. And for all those people that are hating on Ugarte, I think he offers us more than Casemiro going forward. I don't think it was the right decision to start Casemiro and Ugarte as the two pivots, but Ugarte has shown some ability to play more of a box-to-box role, right? Don't get me wrong. In my opinion, he's still a CDM and a dedicated CDM at that. But he has shown some potential to play a box-to-box role. Not just in this game, I'm just saying, but like over the course of the season, he has had his moments. Now, the first half, like I mentioned, comfortable. There were moments where we could have scored more. I'm thinking about the moments where we could have crossed it, and I think the crossing issue I mentioned it really is highlighted by the frustration shown from Rasmus Højlund, and I think today's game really exemplifies why we need an experienced striker, right? Because despite Højlund getting mad, screaming at Garnacho to pass him the ball more, getting mad at Bruno, screaming at Bruno to pass him the ball more, they didn't really take him into consideration, right? Now, in my opinion, it could have been just a game where like emotions were running high. I think for Højlund, right, he really wants to get on the score sheet. He wants to get his confidence back, and in my opinion, I think he really wants to succeed at Manchester United, right? Because we know when it was his time to, or when it was his transfer saga, right? We know that he wanted to come to United. United was his team, all this stuff, right? I think he really does want to succeed at United, but he can't. And he's also not in a position to be able to scream at Bruno. He's more in a position to be able to scream at Garnacho. Don't get me wrong. I think Garnacho was, how would I say this? A little more ignoring of Højlund's frustration, right? But it did kind of bubble over today. However, I think he did have his moments, and it was an okay game from Højlund. I would have liked to see him score, but it is what it is. You know, you can't have your pie and eat it at the same time. Well, you can in some cases, but I guess, right? I don't really. Why are we talking about pie? Let's talk about the game. Anyway, yeah, the first half, a lot of control. Honestly, I think there was that back line of Maguire, Euro, and Mazraoui works really, really well. And in the first half, we limited Leon to only a couple of chances and then really clear-cut chances, which I was excited and I was happy to see that. But here's where I think it all went wrong, was when we subbed Mazraoui on for Luke Shaw. And I think this kind of shows a little inexperience on the part of Ruben Amorim, right? You don't just throw somebody on like Luke Shaw that hasn't played in months, coming back from injury, into basically a pressure cookie, right? Because it's a season-defining game. We need to win the game. It would be better for us to keep a clean sheet. I guess for fitness reasons, keep Mazraoui fresh for certain reasons. Okay, fine. But I don't think throwing on Luke Shaw at that time, right, that early on in the second half was good. And I think it threw off the flow of the team. And respectfully, I think it was the wrong decision by Ruben Amorim. And we saw, in my opinion, the Leon's first goal was a Luke Shaw mistake. I think the penalty where it was Euro who got the yellow card, but I think the contact from Luke Shaw and kind of scissoring, I'm not sure who is Leon player, but they kind of Luke Shaw kind of scissored him into Euro. slightly on Luke Shaw's part right now. Do I think Luke Shaw's a bad player? No, I think he is still a really good player. And in my opinion, had he not been injured and had he been, I guess, match fit in terms of not his fitness, but his chemistry with the team, it would have been a lot better than just throwing him in there. But like I said, building up from the back, bringing Luke Shaw in kind of gave a little uncertainty at the back, and it kind of forced us to drop a little bit from the midfield, in my opinion, from what I saw in the second half. And it kind of gave Leon more of a control of the game, right? Which I think we did a really good job in the first half of suffocating them out of the game. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a complete performance. It wasn't like a tiki-taka suffocation, right? But we really controlled the game in the first half. And in the second half, we lost that control, which is why they were able to come back, in my opinion, right? The two goals. And now, don't get me wrong, the penalty was contentious, right? In my opinion, the Leon penalty was a penalty. But going off of that, if we're saying that Leon penalty was a penalty, then I think the Harry Maguire shirt pull in extra time was also a penalty, in my opinion. But I have my gripes with the refs, especially the refs in Europe. They've kind of not screwed over Manchester United this season, but they've definitely not been in our favor this season. But let's just be happy that we won. Now, extra time. Wow, I said this in my short that I posted, and I'll say it here. This team is going to give me high blood pressure. But you want to call it Fergie time, we could call it Fergie time, right? But in the dying moments, Kobe Mino scores, equalizes 4-4, and we're thinking, oh my God, this is going to go to penalties. What's going to happen if it goes to penalties? But we don't even have to worry about that, because the hero of today's game, Harry Maguire, comes in. Now, don't get me wrong, I am not Harry Maguire's biggest fan, and it's pretty much known that I'm not Harry Maguire's biggest fan. But Harry Maguire does a couple things, not everything, but a couple things very, very well. And one of those things that he does very, very well is heading the ball, which is why we stick him as striker in games where it's basically the game has turned into throw the kitchen sink at the opposition, right? And I think that really exemplifies why he's still an asset to the team and why I don't think he should be in the conversation of getting rid of him this current summer, right? Now, don't get me wrong, we've seen the conversations in the past. Harry Maguire is not the striker for Manchester United. I do not want to see Harry Maguire being clipped up tomorrow with his run, with his header, with his positioning, and saying Manchester United should play Harry Maguire striker. No. But in these type of scenarios, in this type of situation, we could really use Harry Maguire there, and we really did, and he saved us. Honestly, Harry Maguire saved us today. I think he commanded the back line really well until the Luke Shaw substitution. And overall, without Harry Maguire, who knows where he would have been today. And I think the thumbnail is probably going to be Hero and then Harry Maguire's face on it. But you guys will see that when I post the thumbnail. A special shout out right now. We conceded 4 goals, which is not a good thing. And I wouldn't say that Onana was perfect today. But Onana showed why he was picked today, in my opinion, because had we put Bayender in there, I don't think Bayender would have done any better than Onana today. And a few of the goals, especially the penalty, right? Not Onana's fault. Leon's second goal, not Onana's fault. The first goal, okay, maybe. But one moment that I'd really like to highlight and I really like to see more of was in the second half of extra time, basically the dying embers of the game. Leon crossed the ball into the box. I think it was Harry Maguire and a Leon player going up for it. Onana does not care. He comes out. He punches the ball out assertively. He doesn't care if he takes his man. And I think we need to see more of that from Andre Onana, right? We need to see more of a controlling presence in the box from crosses, from balls played in behind, right? And I think if he could do that more, I think we'll see more of the Inter Milan Onana that we thought we were buying, right? But I don't think Onana played bad today, despite shipping 4 goals, right? It was an okay performance from the goalie, right? I don't think Bayender is the answer, and I definitely don't think Onana is the answer, but Onana right now is better than Bayender, in my opinion, right? Maybe if Bayender gets a couple of runs in the team, or a couple of games, like a decent run in the team, he'll be able to find his confidence, and maybe he will be better than Onana. But I don't think either of them are first-team quality for Manchester United. So currently, I would still play on there Onana. Now, obviously, we've won. We're going to the semifinals. And I'm sticking to my guns, baby. United will win the Europa League. However, if we play like we played against Lyon, Bilbao will have their way with us, right? I think Bilbao are a stronger team than Lyon. I think La Liga is a better league than the French league. Um, and I think if we play like how we played against Lyon, like I said, Bilbao will probably beat us. But I'm not going to predict that because I'm going to predict, and honestly, pure optimism, right? I'm riding high off of the result today, and I think any Manchester United should be running high off of the result today, right? Like just excited, happy that we get to continue playing in Europe this season. And like I said, without winning the Europa League, there will be no midweek games next year in Europe, right? There will be a less of a transfer budget. So I think it's really important that we've actually won today, and we can still win the Europa League. I think there'll be more of an emphasis on that Bilbao game, right? I think Ruben Amorim will realize, hopefully, and he'll not be pressured by the Glazers, Sir Jim Ratcliffe, but the Glazers, to prioritize the league or continue focusing on the league. I think now is the time where we just hone in and we focus on the Europa League, right? The Europa League has to be the main priority, right? Not gaining another position in the Premier League, not losing another position in the Premier League. Honestly, we'll watch the Premier League. We'll enjoy the Premier League while it's here for now for this season. It's written off in my books, right? The Premier League starts in August, right? When the new season starts. Right now, for the rest of the season, we need to focus on the Europa League. We need to win it. It's not even like we want to win it. I want to win it, yes, but we need to win the Europa League. It's as simple as that. So, with that being said, I do think we'll win the Europa League. I do think we will beat Bilbao. And I think there are certain key takeaways from this game that we can learn, right? Right now, Luke Shaw should play in the, if we have injuries, if there's fitness concerns, Luke Shaw should play in the Premier League. We need to save our full strength back line for the Europa League. And it'll help Luke Shaw, honestly, because he needs to get his match sharpness. There we go, match sharpness up, in my opinion. Midfield wise, I think we really need to nail down who is the CDM. It has to be Casemiro or Ugarte and a ball progressing midfielder, most likely Bruno next to him against Bilbao. Because if we play super defensive against Bilbao, and honestly, I think one of the reasons we did good in today's game, in my opinion, was that we got on top of the ball and we controlled the first half. And we were aggressive and we went out and we scored early, right? But I don't think we'll be able to do that against Bilbao with a center mid of Casemiro and Ugarte, right? I think we need more attacking flair. I think Mason Mount should probably start, right, in one of those positions if we're dropping Bruno into the kind of pivot role. I think Kobe Mainu could do the pivot role, in my opinion. I think if Kobe Mainu gets a little bit more match sharpness, we play him next to an Ugarte or a Casemiro, in my opinion, an Ugarte for the Bilbao game, right? But we can talk more about the Bilbao preparations when it comes, right? It's not going to be this week. It's going to be next week, I'm pretty sure. We get a week off now from European football. And I think it's going to be really exciting. And I think, as Manchester United fans, it's been a long season. It's coming to an end, right? And it's been a draining season, right? At least for me personally. The Premier League form, the Ten Hag sacking, the players being how they were this season at the start, right? It's just been draining. But I'm happy that towards the end of the season, we can have a little bit of positivity, right? I would love to be in a title contention. I would love to be in a top 4 race, but we're not there. But I'm just happy that we have this Europa League excitement. And I hope that you guys are too, because we deserve to be excited a little bit about this football club, right? It can't just all be negative. It can't. It cannot. But at the end of the day, I will be here predicting and reacting to the Bilbao game, to the Premier League games. So if you guys would like to stick around, hit subscribe. We're aiming for 100 subscribers by the beginning of the transfer window. It's an ambitious target, but I'm setting that out for us, for this community, right? And on the community part, go ahead, get in the comments. Let me know. Did you guys enjoy today's game? What were your guys' predictions, and did they actually come true? And comment, right? Who do you think was man of the match? In my opinion, right? I guess this is the last thing that I'll leave you guys with for my match reaction was, right? Man of the match, Harry Maguire. To me, Harry Maguire. It's a little bit biased because he scored the winning goal, yes, but controlled the back line decently well in the first half. Did what he could when Luke Shaw came on, and there was definitely some issues there. And he scored the winning goal. And in my opinion, no player had an outstanding game today. Don't get me wrong, most people will probably say Bruno. I think Bruno had a great game, right? But in my opinion, just because of the winning goal. Harry Maguire as the man of the match. But let me know, who is your man of the match? Get in the comments, talk to each other, talk to me, and I'll see you guys for the next. Who do we play at the weekend? We'll get to that part when we come to that. See you guys in the next video.